just would feel like an overarching amount of stress. I felt like a feeling like I was drowning sometimes. Like I just wanted to come up for air, just like in every single thing that we had to do. And hey y'all, this is Lex, and then this is my husband Derek.
Peace, good people.
Yeah, so we just coming on here because we are still in Nairobi, Kenya, Africa, and we wanted to do a joint video, like from a couple's perspective, kind of a family perspective. Well, not kind of, but definitely a family perspective on why we came here to the continent of Africa and how our experience has been so far.
Yeah, and we're also gonna tell you like why we decided to come, our experience here so far, some comparison from here to the U.S. because there's definitely a lot, and yeah, so just something we're gonna do. We're going to Tanzania next, so we'll do one from there, comparing here to there, and then from there to home. But yeah, I'll let you take over.
Yeah, so I already did a video on my channel about this on my YouTube channel, talking about some of the reasons that we came over here. There were several reasons, and one of the biggest reasons is one I especially talk about a lot on my channel, which is quality of life. Looking for a better quality of life, especially when you've done everything that you can and you've worked hard to achieve like a high quality of life where you were. It just seems like things were um, more seems like it just was a bigger hurdle to achieve certain things that we were looking to achieve. And when we were doing research, we were seeing people who came to the continent of Africa, to different countries, that experienced this feeling that they never felt before, and had, I guess, kind of put together a missing piece, like that they felt like their life was missing. So that's one of the biggest reasons that we came over here. In a nutshell, was quality of life. Everything from the ability to not experience racism like we as black people experience over in America, the ability to have more time in a way, because over here, especially when you move over here, most people have help. Like they have help that they can get for lower wages, like to help, with chores, with cooking, all kinds of things that we have on our plate in America that take up so much of our time doing so many things that we're not passionate about. So those were a lot of things. And then a big thing also was violence. We come from a pretty violent city, but all in all, and I talked about this in my video as well, like when I looked up peaceful places in America, um, something came back that said that America wasn't a peaceful place, like altogether. And that had, I was like, I wasn't so surprised, but I just like, man, I thought I would get me like a little list that says like this place, that place. Although it did give those places, it just was saying like, all in all, like all of the states in America like have so many different things, and not to say that they don't have that here, not to say that there's no violence or no, you know, acts of crime here, but there's just an extremely high amount in Africa. I'm sorry. There's an extremely high amount in America, and that's something that we didn't want for our family or ourselves.
Yeah, that's 100% agree. I guess I want to ask you. So, what were your thoughts right before we left? Like some of the things you were feeling, because we're not far from Buffalo. So, what were some of the feelings you had back home before we got here? Just so we can tell them like how we were feeling then and how we're feeling now.
Oh, like actually being home.
Yeah, like your day to day, some of the things we would talk about.
So I just would feel like an overarching amount of stress. I felt like a feeling like I was drowning sometimes. Like I just wanted to come up for air, just like in every single thing that we had to do, and just in our everyday lives. Like it, I told him, I'm like, especially where we're from, sometimes it seems like it's not a lot of things to do, and so even like when we want to go like on a date or something, where we from specifically, it's not a whole bunch of options like for us. Especially we have like we have a different way of eating, that's for sure. But still, just like we don't have to go out to eat, just like go out on an adventure or go out to do this, and the weather is not that good. So being in the U.S. is one thing, but being in our city is like a whole nother thing. But a lot of the things that we saw, it was like common among people, like even in other cities and states. But like I said, I just felt like an extreme amount of stress. Sometimes I felt like I just like needed help. Sometimes I felt like it was just so much responsibility, and I found myself like always searching, and that was like one of the biggest inspirations of my channel, and that I talk about on my on my YouTube channel. It's just that like really like when you're out there searching for something more, it just felt like there was something more that we weren't getting, and we went and we're going about life in a way that is really true to us. And so I say that to say we're not chasing the dreams of somebody else. Like we're not like looking to be like, oh, okay, well, I got a lot of money and I got designer clothes and I got this and I got that. Why am I not happy? It wasn't that. It was like we go after life in a form or in a way to pursue things that truly matter to us. And we were doing that to a pretty high level. Like, like from having a family, being married, investing, being able to get ourselves out of a 9 to 5 job, those things. And so it seemed like, man, like it seems like I would be in a different space, like emotionally at this point, but I wasn't. So I probably talked for too long, but that was some of the things that I felt before we left. What about you?
I think that's good. That's what I wanted you to do is say all the things that you were feeling. And from a male's point of view, as your husband, I kind of always felt like no matter how much money we had, because we're doing very well, we own real estate. We have online program where we teach people how to invest in real estate. We got investments in stocks and other things, but it just always felt like as a man and as your husband, I always felt like I wasn't making enough money, I wasn't doing enough, and it just seemed like every year, I kind of feel like every year things got a little harder, like things got a little more challenging as far as finances, prices were going up, and I just always felt just a little stressed, and I always felt a sense of anxiety, and I always felt like I wasn't doing enough. Like I always felt like I should be doing more. And also, as a husband and a father, I always want to balance that because I want to make money, take care of us, make sure we're good financially, but also want to be there for you guys, be there, spend time with you every day, just be there to watch our daughter grow up. I want us to travel, so it just felt like I was on like a beam that wasn't balanced. It was always, you know, one side up and the other down. It was never like even where I felt like, all right, I'm good here, I'm good there. And I know life, you know, not perfect, so there's always going to be some inconsistencies or imbalances, but felt like and back home in the U.S., things never felt balanced. And I just felt like one side was just getting heavier. So,
Yeah. That's a good point is that you bring up too. I didn't even think about the financial part, and that probably is, maybe more prevalent for you as the man, even though it affects me too. But and I'm thinking about it too because as you know, I have investments as well, and we have investments together. But that's very true. It seemed like each year that the like you would say like the finish line was changing. Like
mm-hmm.
it seemed like we'd be like, okay, we just need to do this, and in 2 years we'll be at this point, and in this one year we'll be at this point. But then when it got to that point, things had went up so much, and I know it's like that in so many different places. But for instance, we are coming here on this extended trip, like slash relocation plot, because one of the things is that the you can get a really good quality of life for a lower cost here. And now don't the thing is like don't get it twisted, we are always gonna be striving to increase our financial ability. Like we're gonna get more money, and we're going to thrive financially. We're gonna continue to increase our financial abilities and basically get more money. But also, when you work so hard, like we're not beginners in business. So when you work so hard for so many years, you'd be like, man, I just want like a little bit more to show for it. And I don't get me wrong, one of the best things that I've experienced, especially as like a new mom, is being able to stay home. Stay home and stay with our daughter, and that's one of the best things. So some of the smaller things that all the financial and the things that we sacrifice has helped us to get to, that's some of the greatest things, but there's still some more of what we wanted. And like for instance, one of our first plans was to move to Georgia, to move to the state of Georgia and the suburbs that they had here. And then we compare like the house prices. We wanted to buy a house, and then we were comparing it to how much it was to rent, because we're like, maybe we should rent there first so that we can get a feel of the area, see if we really like it before we actually buy a house. Well, the rent prices there were, they were getting up there and they were increasing. And if you wanted to rent in a place like here, like that we're in, this place that we're in is one of the biggest apartments we've been into. It's not like huge, but it has like 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. That's one of the rare things that we've seen and never had before. Like when we went on a vacation or when we got like a Airbnb somewhere else. But either way, this 2 bedroom unit, 2 bedroom, 2 bathroom. I think when you looked it up, it probably was like maybe $700. Like
Yeah,
you could
yeah,
rent it for $700 a month, and its spot has a gym. It has a pool. It has a pool table, 2 pool tables, a ping pong table, and it has 24-hour security. So that, if you wanted that, like where we had thought about moving before, you want to be paying like for a 2 bedroom. You probably want to be paying at least $2,200. So it's more than double. Like almost 3 times
yeah,
the amount for I would say the same quality of life, and that's for in the business that we're in. And when we are using passive income to fund these ventures, we would like our passive income to take us further. So if when we paying rent, and me, I'm really allergic to rent. I don't like renting. I never actually rented
yes.
before.
You never did
Yeah,
pay rent
right.
ever.
I never rented before. So when I calculated like, so we're gonna be paying $2,300 like a month, and after a year, that's gonna be almost close to almost getting up there to $30,000, and we don't own anything of this. Like that wasn't a good feeling for me, and I know for you either. So either way, that was like you said, one of the big things. That was a good point when it comes to finances, the fact that you can live a better quality life for less. And we don't even live here yet, but when people live here, I'm telling you, people be having private chefs, drivers, housekeeping, all for a very low rate, a rate that the average person wouldn't be able to afford in the U.S.
Yeah, I think we should talk about because being that we're plant based, we would spend a lot of money back home in
Oh
food.
yeah,
So I think we should talk about that back home and then talk about that here. So what's your thoughts on that? Like us, going to the store and buying food based on our diet and trying to eat organic and stuff.
yeah. So as you know, we've me in particular, we both eat healthy, but I've been looking to convert into eating more or mainly raw foods,
Hmm.
like mainly raw meals. But even without that, we still consume a good amount of fruits and vegetables. One thing that we eat with most of our foods that we try to eat is organic, and the organic foods were being taxed high. Like it was a very high price tag to get organic foods, especially organic fruits and vegetables, if you can even find them in the U.S. So it was. I can't say it was more challenging because we would still get the food, but we would have like 2 bags of groceries, and been unpaid sometimes like $200 something.
Not three sometimes.
Yeah, just for 2 bags of groceries because we decided to get something that's not riddled with pesticides, because want this something that's not gonna affect our health like in a negative way. And of course there is when there's certain things, like especially things that contain multiple ingredients, like you're gonna pay a higher price for things that have higher quality things. Like you'll pay a higher price for like a natural toothpaste, and some of those things I understand because the ingredients are more expensive to obtain.
Right.
But when it comes to like organic fruits and vegetables, like I know it can be challenging. I'm not a farmer, so I don't directly know, but it maybe be more challenging to, not put pesticides on there, because then you might have a pest problem. You have something else you have to deal with. But what I'm saying is like these things shouldn't even be allowed if it was shown to impact our health in a negative way. So all I'm saying is we paid a hefty price tag back in the U.S. for these things that we're getting like for pennies. I'm talking about we went to the public market, and get this, we've been to the farmers market back home too. And the thing at the farmers market is that I would rarely come across anybody, people who grew their food organically. So that's comparing to the market that we found here, called an organic farmers market. We left there, I think, with 2 bags of groceries, and probably paid under, I think like under $3, like for
Yeah.
bags, 2 bags. I'm talking about big bags. Like I have these big reusable bags that can hold like I don't know how many pounds of food, but like under $3 we spent. And if we would have did that, if we would have racked up on organic produce back home in that quantity, we probably would have been looking at least like $80, I think.
Yeah, and if we can even find it, that's the other issue.
Exactly.
Is
Yeah.
finding the foods organic, and we'll have to go to. I know you were going like 3 stores
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yep.
3 to 4 stores, still not even finding what you're looking for, and if you do, it all wasn't always organic.
Exactly.
But here, we like you said, the organic farmers market, we found that it had pretty much everything that we needed in one place. We spent very little money, and they all came from the actual farms, like
Yep.
local farms in the country.
Yeah.
So
Before we go to the next thing, though, I also want to bring up the fact that some of, even in the grocery stores, some of the things that you get, like their ketchup and like sauces and things,
oh yeah,
we
yeah.
haven't seen so far anything that contain like high fructose corn syrup. Like back in the U.S., right? You have to spend more money for like a natural version of something so that you don't get certain ingredients that have been studied and
Known to cause cancer.
I don't know specifically cancer, but just like, you know, some things definitely do, but just any type of issues like within a body. Some of those ingredients we haven't seen them. I know that they're probably here, and we've only been here for coming up on a month now, but we've noticed that like you don't have to get the natural version to get something that doesn't have the ingredients. Like for instance, we get this pesto we got to make some pasta. This basil pesto is basically like a sauce that you put. You could put, some people put it on pizza, some people put it on pasta, but back home, it has milk in it, and so we don't get it back home. But here, it had cashews in it, so it was made with cashews instead. So just little stuff like that, we noticed that they have like healthier quality things, and it's definitely more promising.
Yes, for sure. So we already told the people that we felt stressed and some form of anxiety being back home, but
Yeah.
being here, how does it feel waking up in the morning? We got this view behind us, which you guys can see a little bit. How does it feel now, like waking up every day? And we didn't even tell them about, and we might do that in another video, all the stuff that we went through getting here. But
Oh yeah, yeah,
just
that's true.
was it like waking up every day, and what's day to day like now for you? How do you feel versus home?
I feel liberated waking up here. Like I feel excited. Like I was always thankful to wake up back home, but sometimes we had to do our day to day stuff. It's just like, oh man, like what I gotta do today. And one thing I explained in the video that I had did is that how it's important to say, I feel like in the video, that we used to work 9 to 5 jobs and we traveled even back then. At this current point, we don't. And I wanted to stress that because this is different than just like a little vacation from your job high. Because we've had that before when we used to work jobs. I don't know if you remember how it used to be, but when we would just get vacation from our jobs that we hated, it was just big enough just to stay home. So let alone be in a tropical country, it was like, oh my gosh, I'm about to live here. Just because it's a cumulative feeling of getting away from the stressful work environment. I just wanted to stress that because we've had that experience before. Like when we went to a country, like remember we went to the Virgin Islands and we were talking to this man and we were like, man, it must be great to live here. And he's like, I don't really like it that much. And I was like, what? We were like, what? Like, what do you mean you don't like it? But that was us coming from the 9 to 5 world, and we were only there for a few days, so we didn't really have a big perspective. So I just wanted to make sure I added that in the video so you won't be like, oh, well, that's any vacation. No, because we had some vacation, especially after we stopped working that job. We've had some vacations where we like after a few days we like, all right, I'm ready to go home. Like I'm ready to leave. So this is different than just a vacation from a stressful 9 to 5. This is like actually we've been here for almost a month and we're not going back home to a 9 to 5 job. So I just wanted
Right.
to add that perspective in there. So yeah, waking up, it feels great. And I'm not even gonna lie, like one of my best friends, I talked to her when I got here. She was like, "So how do you feel?" And I'm not even that person to try and like, like milk things up if it's not true. So when we first got here, I was overly tired. We probably were both overly tired because for one, it's a long flight, and for two, I had spent like the last several nights staying up late and packing, and we had a bunch of suitcases. So it just was like a big process of getting here. So when we first got here, I was like, oh, this is nice, but I didn't feel that feeling. So I'm not even gonna lie, it didn't hit me as soon as we got here. It didn't hit me as soon as we got off the plane. Cause what hit me was the sleepiness that I've been feeling for the past few days. But yeah, it's great. Like um, it's just like a lot of people say. It feels like a huge weight off of my shoulders. Like it just feels like it's a spiritual, it feels very spiritually clean here. Like I know that it's not all good and pure here, but you can feel the energy that's different here, especially being a black person with good intentions. You feel a different energy here, and it's just in the air. It's just in the air, and it just feels different. It feels pure, and I feel a lot less stress here. Like even things, and we like you said, we talk about it in another video, but we don't have some things that are going on back home, and we're like, man, like we still here chilling.
Right.
So yeah, so I don't know if I answered that question well, but I felt really good in comparison to back home. I felt like it's been like an adventure, and it seems like you'll never run out of things to do here.
Yeah, it's always something to do. This place is very family orientated, so there's always something to do if you got kids or if you just got your partner. But yeah, I feel very much similar to what you said. Being here does feel for me as a black man. I do feel at peace. I have to worry about getting. I'm not driving for one, but I don't feel uncomfortable. I don't feel worried that something may happen simply because it's color of my skin. Because everywhere I look, everybody looks like me. Their skin is either my complexion darker, but everybody here there's a respect, among people. But there's just peace here. I wake up in the morning and I feel at peace. I don't feel like I gotta get up and I gotta start doing something or I'm getting hit with a bunch of different tasks. It's just I'm at peace, comfortable. I mean, I will say there's some things that I miss at home and that's just our house because we're staying at Airbnb. So that is the only thing I do. I may miss about home is just having our house. But
I
other
was
than
gonna
that,
bring that up too.
oh,
That up next, yeah.
oh, okay. Well, then I'll say that part. But definitely feels at peace, and I do love the family vibes I get here. There's always something to do with the family. We go to the malls and stuff. There's kids areas. Our Airbnb has a kid area. They put a lot of thought into planning for kids. So
And
kids,
families.
yeah, and
Yeah.
families. So there's always family stuff to do. But like I said, if you come with your partner, there's plenty of things you can do. You can do the club thing if that's what you want to do. But there's just something for everybody. So
Yeah.
I really appreciate that about here.
So I wanted to ask you, and for us to talk about some of the things that we have missed about home. And not that there have been many, but just like how we've gotten these false feelings of like kind of like wanting to go back home, but we're like, okay, it's not really that serious because a lot of people come here, like especially to move here, and they end up leaving. And I know a lot of that is for financial reasons, but also I feel like in a way people could be having the feelings that we're having too. And so I think it's important to talk about it because I remember I think you were looking for videos on what people liked and disliked before we came. So, like,
Yeah.
what is it? What are the things that you do miss about back home?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. Like I was saying, the house, I definitely miss our house because, that's where we created our life. That's where we were living. So, of course, we have everything we need. We can only pack so many things. And that was one of the stressful things about coming here. One of the few stressful things is just packing because, we're going to be staying for a long period of time. So, we needed to pack, certain things. We can't take our whole house. So, there's always going to be some things that you wish you had or missed that you had. So, I miss our house, just certain things are set up. We got a 1 year old, so our baby doesn't really have her own room with all her toys in it. So little things like that. Um, and I miss driving. I miss my car a little bit. I'm a car enthusiast, so I like to drive. So I don't think I'll drive here anytime soon, but I think that's really it. The car, and of course, my family. I miss being able to see our families, but that's part of the issue of America is even being there. Everybody's so busy working, chasing money, and then we're also just got our own. We're all having our own like
Life.
life issues and everything going on. So everybody's kind of in their own bubble. So
Yep.
even if we were home, we probably wouldn't see our family as much anyways.
Usually don't.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's true.
usually don't.
So what about you? What do you miss about home?
Some of the same things, like, okay, yeah, we definitely miss our family. Um, the only reason that wouldn't have been my number one is because just like what you said, like we wouldn't have saw them that much. Like in this time frame, we might have saw a couple people like one time so far, So it's not like we spend a bunch of time with our family because everybody's doing this, everybody's on a different schedule. So that's one. It is one of the biggest things, though. Our family, obviously, we were here for the holidays. We don't really celebrate the holidays, but we do gather with our family members, who celebrate the holidays. So that, and like you said, our house is one of the biggest things. Just having our setup. And a lot of people, I guess, they leave and they maybe if they're renting a house, they probably end their lease or maybe they sell their house. But for us, we still have a house back home. So yeah, like everything, like if we could bring everything, we still couldn't bring our house. So we going from having a house that got it has like I say like at least three functional levels, and the basement. Like our house has three functional levels and the basement to having what they call a flat, which is an apartment. It won't be a big deal like if you live in an apartment, you come to an apartment, but we literally coming from a much bigger house, like
Yeah,
with,
three
you
to four
know,
floors to
yeah,
one floor.
and everything that we set up like specifically for us, and like he said, the baby. So that's one of the biggest things I miss, as well as driving. And I said that I miss you driving because he drive us most of the time. But I still miss that because that's one of the things I knew that I would miss coming here. And it doesn't have to be like that. We're gonna figure out something like we decide to move here, but being here now, we're taking a lot of like ride shares. We're taking a lot of ride shares here. They got Uber, they got Bolt, something called Bolt that's specifically here, and we're taking that all the time. And ever since I had anywhere to go, I had a car. So it just was like even when I didn't have you to drive me, I still drove myself.
Yeah, you could up and leave whenever.
Yeah, leave whenever. So the rides they come pretty quick, but it's still different when you got like like bags of groceries, and then I be wearing the baby, in the carrier, and we got this stuff, and we gotta wait for the boat. And for some reason, the car's been getting lost sometimes. Like we had somebody get a flat tire and all kinds of stuff. So we just coming on to say that the things that we miss. We just wanted to say that the things we miss aren't like really big things that would like make or break or mean a difference of us leaving, but there are just certain things. And what I miss the most about home is just the familiarity of it.
Yeah.
Like knowing where things are, knowing what's going on, knowing what that is, knowing how to get there. That's one of the biggest things that I miss is just the familiarity of where we're from. And I think maybe that could compel some people to live. And like I was saying, I feel like the only way to get over that is just to become familiar with something different.
Yeah, I agree. That's kind of what I was gonna say too. Is a lot of the things I miss at home are just what I'm used to because we're just
Yep.
so used to, certain things. So when you come to somewhere else, you want to revert to something that you're comfortable with because
Yeah.
you're gonna feel a little bit out of place, and that's anywhere. Whether you're going, from one city to a whole different state that have different things that they do, different ways. The roads are, the streets are different. So but here it's a little different as far as what we're used to. So we miss some of the things that we're comfortable with, but it just takes time to really get comfortable with those things.
And the fact that we never lived anywhere else. Like we lived in the same city forever. We never even moved to a different city or
Yeah,
moved to a
that's true.
different state. So we've literally been experiencing the same situation, which sounds kind of boring, since we were since we were born. So that plays a big role in it too. Like being in a different place for so this is the longest that we've ever.
I mean, we traveled a lot, but yeah, this is the first time we considered living because we're gonna be here for 3 months, so we
Yeah.
technically will be living.
And the longest time that we've ever been anywhere. Like our longest trip was 7 days. Was 7 days before this. Like we were
Yeah,
going for 7 days. That was the longest. So this is like you said, like we're actually living here for 3 whole months.
yeah, that's true. So,
Yeah,
I think the last thing I got is just the difference in the people.
yeah.
So, how would you compare? Because back home, how would you say interacting with people is versus interacting with people here. So
So back home, so we live up north, and a lot of people might know that one of the reasons we wanted to move to the south originally was because of that southern hospitality that people have. I know not everybody has it, but we experienced more people speaking to us when we went, to the south. So that just wanted to say that to give some context that we are up north. So there's a lot more people who speak to you and like greet you like in the south. But here it is like a whole nother level. People make you feel a lot more comfortable. Like we've been joking, like we were on a plane and we were like in a row like 3-seat configuration and we calling this dude like our uncle.
yeah,
He
it was
like,
real
yeah,
cool.
our uncle was next to us or whatever. But like we had our daughter is like she's one and she's gonna be going on two, but we used the opportunity to take her as a lap child and like at some point her feet was touching him and all kinds of stuff, and at some point in the flight it actually wasn't that bad, but she actually started to cry some, and I just we don't want to disturb other people. Like children are children, but you still are sometimes conscious of like disturbing other people, and then it was an overnight flight, so you don't want to disturb people's sleep. But like after the flight, I told him, I'm like, yeah, sir, I'm sorry about like I hope I didn't disturb your sleep, and she just was like, she did good, like she did good. And then this random guy behind us, he was just commenting, he was just talking, he was just trying to make our daughter laugh, and he just was like, is this her first flight? And then we were like, yeah, and he was like, she did good. And then you were like, you think so? Because she
Right.
was crying at some point, and he was like, yeah, man, like we all go through it, and just an experience that we wouldn't have had back home. Like we felt like people treated us like people put
Hmm.
themselves in our shoes, and that's what we do as people. So that's why it's so comforting to experience it, because some people just like it don't matter if they just on the flight before you had a crying child. If you got a crying child, like back home you got a crying child on this next flight, they like, oh my god, like if they don't get this kid, even though
Right.
they even though they just had that experience. So to have the experience of people putting like you feel like they're putting themselves in your shoes, and like it feels
Hmm.
like family, like people that we don't know. It feels like
Yeah.
family, as if our family was on a flight, because obviously our family, they're gonna try and help us. They're not gonna be like, if you don't get my granddaughter and get her, like
Or
they're
man,
gonna,
please, sir,
yeah,
please, could you?
exactly. Like it felt like family. Like every single person that talked to us, but it just was like a different experience. So as soon as we got on a plane, before we even got here, we started experiencing the how people treated us differently, and we ever even talk about like we said, one of the things that we experience back home is racism, and that racism also is from law enforcement sometimes back home. Here is so much security. Like if you know anything about Nairobi, Kenya, there's a lot of security here. Each security guard, like we've never had a negative feeling, like we never been scared or worried. Like when they do their checks, like they open the doors, but they don't look at you like, like, yeah, you better not have no, you got a weapon, you got a weapon. Like they look, and they, they're looking around, but they smile at you, like they wave at you. And
Yeah, they
so
make you feel comfortable. Like,
yeah,
hey,
it feels like they're actually trying to keep you safe, like, and you're included in it too, not trying to catch you doing something, and you might, so that was like a different experience. It feels like so many people, they say people, they love children here, and that's very true. We've never experienced so many people talk to our daughter. Our daughter doesn't talk yet. She's only one and some change. So many people like waving at her, like, like we've never experienced that before. So many people love kids, even back in the US, but here it's like to a different level. Like it's kind of like your family members, like how they interact with your daughter, that or your children. That's how it is here.
and our baby got a real strong poker face, so it's hard to get her to smile back home. But here, she cheese and they,
Yeah,
she it's something. I wish I could ask our baby like, what is it like? Why are
yeah,
you? Because you don't smile at everybody back home, but
it's true.
she's Chuck E. Cheese in here a lot, so it's definitely good to see. And I don't know if you finished your thought on that.
No, yeah, I think that was it. I think that was all I had.
And I agree. Back home, with like because we're in New York State, it's very cold. As
Yeah, oh
far
yeah,
and not just weather-wise, it's cold weather-wise too. But the people are cold. Nobody really speaks. Um, People walk right past you.
yep,
Nobody really helps much. Like if you're struggling with a cart or anything like that in the store, nobody really gonna help you. I mean, I try to help people, but that's kind of why we kind of wanted to move down south because we kind of felt like that would be a better fit for us. Because down south, I always kind of felt that warm. People speak more, but here, we feel that and even a little more because it's more. People are more friendly. Like you said, the guards and everybody very respectable. They can you open your bag for me, sir? When they're very polite, very respectable.
Yeah, they zip your bag back up for you.
Yes, and I never felt like they were trying to take anything from me or they never really just made me feel uncomfortable. I always felt like they were just doing what they needed to do, what they had to do to keep me and everybody else safe. So yeah, I really felt like the people. There's a lot of good people here. Our boat driver was really very friendly, giving us a lot of information about the culture here, the government here, just current events. People are very in tune here. The people are very in tune with what's going on. So it's just good to see it. I like to see the young people engaged. So the people are very good here. So not to say the people aren't good at home. It's just It's just different. So those are some of the differences that I've noticed.
Yeah, even what is becoming, um, I guess just to give some context, even like one of what's becoming our friend now, we have some people that are actually from here, and we haven't known them for really long, but they're like, they live back home where we live, but they're from here, and they have been very helpful, like more so than some of our friends that we have known like for years, and I guess it just speaks to the culture that's here. And like we said, obviously it's not going to be every single person, and of course it's going to be some rude people. Of course, it's going to be some people who are not so nice. But all in all, our experience just being here in a short period of time, we've just been able to see just a higher level of hospitality, people making us feel welcome, and yeah, just people being kind.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's it. I'm sure we could have covered a lot of things, but we don't want this video to be too long. It's 36 minutes, but yeah, that's pretty much some of what we have.
And if you guys got any questions, we will let it hear them in the comment section. If you guys, want to know anything in Pacific or had any thoughts that you wish we would have shared upon, if you could put that in the comments below. And of course, please like and subscribe to my wife's channel.
Yeah, and then your channel if you put this on your channel.
And mine too if I do post this. And yeah, so we appreciate y'all watching.
Yeah, we're gonna be posting some more videos and updates too.
Yes, because these are the videos that we wish we saw. Because we were looking for these videos before we even came here. So we wanted to make sure that we put out what we felt was missing. So
yeah,
hopefully you guys get this and enjoy it. So
okay, we'll see you in another video. Thank you.
See y'all. Peace.